Dune by Frank Herbert is known as one of the greatest sci-fi books ever written, and for good reason. The depth of the world building in this book is such that it feels like a place that the author has visited and is telling us about, rather than a place he's just invented. The book is about a teenage boy named Paul Atreides who is heir to a noble house and has to fight for his family's survival in a universe full of secretive, sinister powers that have been arrayed against them. And along the way, he not only discovers his destiny, but is forced to question whether or not his destiny will even be a good thing, and if not, what he might have to do to avoid it. What this book is probably the most famous for is its setting. The planet Arrakis, also known as Dune, is an incredibly harsh desert world where the people who have learned to survive there are strange and fascinating, and which is the only source of the spice, which is this addictive substance that has crazy mental effects and is also the only thing that makes space travel in this universe possible. By using the spice, Paul is able to discover his destiny by seeing the future and essentially to take on the universe, which is full of scheming, warring factions and groups, all of which want control of the spice. This is a universe populated by people, all of whom seem just wickedly smart, all of whom have their own motives. Everybody's got plans within plans, as the phrase in the book goes. And, they're all just out for their own good without really seeing the whole picture. So a lot happens. The other thing that this book is best known for, and rightfully so, is its philosophy. The ability to see the future by the characters brings up questions of destiny, of free will, of right and wrong, just of how to get by in a universe where you can do that, and only certain people can do it, only those who have addicted themselves to the spice. This book is full of ideas, and the story is compelling enough that even though the book, through prophecy, often tells you what's going to happen, it's still compelling, and you still want to keep reading. Despite its complexity, Dune avoids plot holes and inconsistencies, and it also manages to make room for sympathetic characters. There's a fair amount of action, but the action really isn't the focus. The focus is more on the characters and the politicking. This is a challenging book. There's a lot of ideas, like I said, which can be difficult to parse completely, but also the author doesn't really load you down with exposition. He kind of expects you to pick things up as you go, and that can make things a little difficult sometimes. It's hard to think of another book to compare this to. The most applicable genre is probably space opera, but even that doesn't really seem to encapsulate it. It's a unique book. It's hard to think of flaws with Dune. Like I said, it's not an easy book, so it may not be a great beach read. There are instances of head hopping, where the point of view in the text changes from one character to another without a scene or chapter break. This seems deliberate on the author's part, but if you're somebody who's really annoyed by head hopping in books, this might get on your nerves. Also, the language can sometimes be a little hard to access, particularly during the visions brought on by the spice. Those can get kind of trippy and weird. The primary thing that I felt while reading Dune was fascination. I love this world and I want to know all about it. The good news is Frank Herbert wrote like 5 more. I feel smarter for having read this book and wiser, and that's what the book seems to be trying to do, and I think it does a great job at it. If you're into sci-fi or fantasy, you should absolutely read Dune.